Kakadosh Boker Or Bekiim Bahalacha 2, day 42, Siman 3, page 141, Halacha Kafhe 25. After using the washroom, the restroom, one must clean it before exiting. Our sages say that someone kills a louse or spits in the presence of someone else who becomes nauseous from the sight, he will be punished for it. This is derived from the pasuk, Ki et kol ma'aseh Elokim yavi v'mishpat al kol ne'alam. HaKadosh Baruch Hu will come and judge a person's deeds for every hidden act. So if the if the toilet bowl is left soiled, it might be nauseating to the next person who uses it, and therefore it's your obligation to clean up after yourself. 142. Seven Hasidim cited this passage and added, therefore, all those who God-fearing person, who Hashem protects from sin, must immediately forgive others who perform an unseemly act in their presence, such as killing a louse or spitting. There was one such a pious person who would go and cover the spittle whenever he saw someone spit in his presence. He personally forgave the person who spat, but he covered it so that way no one else should come to become disgusted by it and become angry and unforgiving of the person that came and that he spat. Fine. Next halacha. Speaking in the Bet Knesset, in the restroom. Okay? It is forbidden to speak even one word, even about mundane matters in a restroom. Even if no one but one's family members are home, it's forbidden to speak while in the restroom. It is permissible to snort or to vocalize a sound, but not a full syllable. 143, speaking in the restroom. Talmud teaches, Rabbi and Rabbi Yassi were each able to enter the restroom alone, right, without being injured by demons. The rabbis asked them, aren't you afraid since the restroom was notorious for vicious demons residing there? They replied, we have a tradition from our teachers that by remaining silent and behaving modestly in a restroom, nothing will happen. The Gemara also teaches that Rav Safra entered the restroom and Rabbi Abba came to the entrance and coughed. Rav Safra said, please come in. After he exited the restroom, he said to Rav Safra, you have never even visited the country of Seir, but you have learned the culture of Seir, right? Which is basically being immodest. Doesn't it say in the Mishnah that there was a special signal to make it known whether one or not somebody's in the Bet HaMikdash was occupied? We can deduce from here that it is improper to speak from the restroom. But Rav Safra did not want to cause Rabbi Abba to postpone relieving himself, so that might endanger his health. His concern was based on the Braita. The teacher, Rabbi Shimon Gamliel, says that if someone stops himself from urinating, he might become afflicted with the bloating, right, or the prostrate, and then if stops defecating, he might become afflicted with jaundice. There was a Ruah deduced from these passages that speaking while in the restroom is immodest. And the Ramah cited this ruling in his gloss to Shulchan Aruch. The Rambam wrote Torah scholars behave with extreme immodesty. One must not speak while relieving oneself, even if one is urgent need to speak. The Chamisha explained that although the Rambam said that Torah scholars, they're actually for everybody. Torah scholars, however, must be more stringent. The Sefer Charedim offered an entirely different explanation of the halacha forbidding speech. If someone asks, he becomes susceptible to injury at the hands of the demons in the restroom by behaving modestly and remaining silent, it's safe. But Talmud mentions the present demon being likely in the restrooms. And therefore, if someone's telephone rings while he's in the restroom and he's afraid he does not answer the call, he will incur loss of money. There is a basis to be lenient, right, and to answer it. But he should not try to speak briefly as possible. The same applies if the call is about a medical emergency or some other urgent matter. Otherwise, one must take care never to speak in the restroom. 144, the Talmud said, okay, fine. Grunting is permitted when one needs to urgently speak. Sharet Tshuva asserted that although Rambam ruled that it is forbidden to speak while in a restroom, even when it's urgent, that is only while one defecates. But at other times, one may speak if it's urgent. He asserted that the Ramah, who wrote simply that one should not speak while there, refers to someone who's there but not defecating. That person may speak if he needs to do it urgently. Maran Rishon LeZion disagreed with this, demonstrating that the Gemara teaches that prohibition is equally strong even when not defecating. The Taharat HaMayim wrote that since the Sefer Charedim explained that when someone speaks in the restroom, he becomes vulnerable to injury by the demons, it should be prohibited even when someone needs to speak to avert other possible danger. And certainly it's prohibited despite a loss of money. But Rishon LeZion disagree with this as well, demonstrating that the Gemara clearly says it's permissible to speak to avert danger. Although speaking in a restroom is dangerous as well, when physical danger is present, it overrides the concern of invisible, metaphysical, right, dangers, which is the demons. Maran Rishon Tzion added that there's room for leniency in case of possible lots of money, based on a principle taught by Rav Yaakov Emden. As mentioned above, the Talmud instructs us to excuse oneself from our accompanying angels when entering a restroom. Rav Yaakov Emden taught that this applied only in times of antiquity, when the restrooms were outside of the city. Therefore, there was a danger. He says in our times, that the restrooms are in the city or in the homes, therefore there's no demons, and therefore there's no longer restroom. So according to this, therefore it's much less dangerous than the time of the Gemara, and the Lacha forbidding to speak, right, is weaker. Therefore, there's room for leniency if one needs to speak to avoid loss of money. Another basis, right, if for leniency is found in the fact that our toilets are flushed after every single use. So therefore, right, some Achronim ruled that no harmful forces, right, exit in a restroom because of this, meaning that it's not even a toilet because immediately it goes away. So he says, right, the Holy Zohar says there's a spirit that resides in the washrooms, in the restrooms, taking pleasure of the filth of the human refuse contained in these structures. Its harmful forces contaminate the hands of the people. We see from here that they're there because of the filth. One can argue, therefore, that our restroom lacks a supply of filth, right? Because nowadays it doesn't happen. So these are rule that one may wash his hands while in the restroom, and it's not necessary to wash again. There's further a basis leniency to speak in the restroom when it's going to be urgent. Furthermore, the Ben Ish Chai asserts that the harmful forces that reside in a restroom is not as injurious as the one that rests on one person's hands waking up in the morning. The latter form harmful is connected, right? The forces are connected to death, and therefore the Lacha forbids you going without it. But he says such a does not apply to someone that went into the restroom. Now, according to the Shalom, the harmful forces of the morning are no longer present among us, and therefore, if they no longer affect us, for sure you could speak. Basically, what we're trying to say is nowadays there's no problem. Summarizing this, there are three bases for leniency to permit speaking in a restroom. Number one, our restrooms are located inside the city, not outside. Our restrooms are clean when you flush the toilet every single time, and it's possible that no harmful forces exist at all in our times. So because of these three different shitot, this entire discussion is based upon the platform that is forbidden to speak in the restroom because of the danger of attack by harmful forces. Right? The Rambam Zarua, however, taught that it's forbidden to speak because of modesty, and therefore it's prohibited in all circumstances, even when it's very urgent. Nevertheless, Rishon Tzion concluded that even according to the Rambam, there's basis to permit speaking to prevent loss of money, although it remains forbidden when it's urgent need to speak. Therefore, if someone's telephone rings while he's in the washroom and there's reason to expect that he's going to lose money, he may do so. Even in such a case, he should try to speak as few words as possible. Okay, what about asking for toilet paper? It's inside his pocket. Asking for toilet paper. Yalkut Yosef ruled that it is permissible to speak while in a restroom if there's conversation concerns one's use of the restroom. Therefore, one may ask someone else to bring toilet paper or water so that one will be able to clean oneself properly. His source for the ruling is the Masechah Derech. One is permitted to tell someone halacha pertaining to a restroom while in a restroom. This seems to be an unreliable source. However, the Ramban, right, posited, right, that although the Talmud Yerushalmi permits this, it is forbidden according to the Bavli. See the comments to Rishon Tzion. Fine. Someone once suggested to Rav Chaim Yosef Zanefeld that the halacha forbidding speaking implies only when someone speaking to someone else, whereas the present permitting saying over halacha about restroom is talking about one may repeat halacha to himself, but not to others. Rav Zanefeld disagreed with this, claiming that if it is permissible to speak to someone else, so it makes no difference whether you're speaking to someone else or speaking to yourself. It is surprising that Rav Zanefeld did not cite this Ramban, the Nachmanides. Okay, so he says, nevertheless, logic dictates that there is basis to permit someone in the restroom to ask for toilet paper, since it's necessary human basic dignity, especially if he is asking right after he finished defecating or before he starts. That's for sure. Fine. What about training children? So it says here, once a child is mature enough, it is recommended to train him to behave modestly while in the restroom, to refrain from speaking as well. Have a wonderful day, everyone. Kol Tuv B'Atzlacha.